As we get older, we start to appreciate the importance of our time more than ever. We begin to realize that time is a precious thing, and so is the company we keep. But have you ever visited someone's home and felt drained, upset, or just a little off afterward? It's almost like something in the atmosphere wasn't right. You know, that feeling that makes you wonder whether you should have spent that time elsewhere. Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about something important, yet lighthearted. The 4 types of people whose homes you might want to avoid visiting, no matter how much free time you have. Now, as we age, our time and energy become even more valuable. We can all agree that the days of endless energy and boundless time are behind us. As much as we want to cherish relationships and stay connected, we have to be more mindful about where we invest our time. Some people and some environments can actually drain us or leave us feeling worse than when we arrived. And it's not just about what's happening in those moments, it's about how it affects our well-being in the long run. Stress, negativity, and unhealthy environments can take a toll on both our mental and physical health. But don't worry, this isn't meant to make you anxious or discouraged. This is just a friendly, down-to-earth chat to help improve the quality of life in your later years. We're here to focus on the positives, and by avoiding these 4 types of people and environments, you'll be doing yourself a huge favor. It's all about protecting your peace and making sure the time you spend with others truly uplifts you. So let's dive in and take a closer look at the 4 types of people whose homes might not be the best places to visit. Number 1. The complainer. Have you ever visited someone's home and walked out feeling more drained than when you walked in? You know, that feeling like the energy just got sucked out of you. If you've ever experienced that, it might be because of the company you were keeping. Specifically, the chronic complainers. These are the people who always seem to find something to complain about. Whether it's their health, the weather, or the people around them, it's always something. Take John and David, for example. John is a man in his 70s who's always been healthy, active, and pretty happy. He's the kind of guy who enjoys life and doesn't dwell much on the little things. But recently, he started feeling a bit off. He couldn't quite figure out what was happening, but after visiting his friend David more frequently, he began to notice a change. David, on the other hand, is the classic chronic complainer. No matter the situation, there's always something wrong. His aches and pains are endless. The state of the world seems to get worse by the day, and even the weather never seems to be just right. He's always worried about something, and he has no problem sharing it with anyone who will listen. At first, John didn't think much of it. After all, David's his friend. But after a few visits, John started to notice that these get-togethers were leaving him feeling, well, less than great. It wasn't just the conversations that left him drained, it was the energy in the room. He noticed that after spending time with David, his mood would dip, and his usual optimism would be harder to hold onto. It was like a heavy cloud that stuck with him long after he left David's house. Now, let's talk about why this might be happening. Research shows that chronic exposure to negativity, whether it's constant complaining or just being around people who focus on the negative, can have a serious impact on our health. We've all heard about stress, right? Stress isn't just a mental thing. It's something that affects our bodies in real ways. When we're stressed, our bodies release hormones like cortisol, which over time can lead to high blood pressure, insomnia, and even a weakened immune system. It's no wonder John started feeling more tired and worn out after spending time with David. And it's not just physical health that's at risk. Constant negativity can also take a toll on your emotional well-being. Research shows that being around negative people can make you feel more anxious, more stressed, and even less motivated. It's like you're carrying their negative energy with you wherever you go. Over time, this can lead to burnout or a general sense of dissatisfaction in life. So what can we do about it? Well, first off, it's important to acknowledge that you have the power to control your environment. This means that while we can't always avoid negative people, especially if they're friends or family, we can limit the time we spend with them. John didn't want to hurt David's feelings, but he also realized that for his own well-being, he needed to make some changes. One simple way to do this is by setting boundaries. It doesn't have to be a big confrontation, but perhaps, instead of weekly visits, John could schedule time with David less frequently. He could also gently steer the conversation away from negative topics, or, if necessary, cut the visit short if it starts to feel like it's affecting his mood too much. Another strategy is to make sure that you balance the time you spend with complainers by also making time for positive, uplifting people. Find the people who bring light into your life, who encourage you, and who lift your spirits. Spending time with these kinds of people can help to offset the negativity that comes from others. It's like a little reset for your emotional health. In the end, it's all about protecting your own peace of mind. No one is saying you should avoid people who are going through tough times or who need your support. But it's essential to recognize the difference between someone who is seeking a little comfort and someone who is constantly draining your energy. So if you find yourself feeling more stressed, anxious, or tired after a visit with a chronic complainer, it might be time to reassess how often you're spending time in that environment. Your health and happiness are too important to let someone else's negativity take over. Take control of your schedule, set healthy boundaries, and make room for positivity. Number 2, the hoarder. Why you should think twice before visiting. Let's talk about hoarding for a minute. You might think it's no big deal to pop by a friend's house, even if it's a little cluttered. But sometimes, that clutter can be more than just an inconvenience. It can turn into a big problem, both physically and emotionally. Take the story of Mary and Patricia, for example. Mary, a woman in her 60s, has been friends with Patricia for years. But every time she visits Patricia's home, she's left feeling exhausted and stressed. Patricia's house is packed with old newspapers, magazines, and things she doesn't even use anymore. It's like a maze of stuff, and Mary finds herself constantly cleaning and organizing, even though she's not the one who lives there. It's hard to relax or even have a decent conversation when everything around you feels overwhelming. The thing is, hoarding is more than just a little bit of clutter. It can make a home unsafe and unhealthy. And it can really affect the people who live there. Imagine being surrounded by piles of things where it's hard to even move around. It can create anxiety and make it harder to focus. For people already dealing with cognitive decline or other mental health issues, it only gets worse. Studies have shown that clutter can cause feelings of stress, and for older adults, it can even worsen feelings of confusion and make it more difficult to keep track of things. This environment affects not just the person who's hoarding, but anyone who steps into the home. Take Mary. She's not only emotionally drained from visiting Patricia, but also physically exhausted from trying to tidy up. It becomes a constant cycle of feeling overwhelmed, and it's hard for anyone to enjoy their time together when the surroundings are so chaotic. Even a simple visit turns into a task, and before you know it, you've spent hours cleaning up or worrying about the safety of the place. So what can you do about it? First, it's important to be mindful of your own environment. Try to keep your home organized. It doesn't have to be perfect, but when there's a sense of order, it can help prevent mental fatigue and lower anxiety. It's especially important as we get older. Clutter can make it harder to focus on the things that matter, like spending time with family or doing activities you enjoy. If you notice that things are starting to pile up at home, take a little time to go through them. Get rid of things you don't use. You'll be amazed at how a little decluttering can help clear your mind. If you have a friend or family member who struggles with hoarding, it's okay to set boundaries. Sometimes it's better not to push the issue. If you have to visit, set a clear limit on how much time you'll spend there. Focus on the people, not the stuff. Spend time talking, laughing, and just being together. You might even suggest doing an activity that takes you outside of the home, like going for a walk, having a meal out, or watching a movie together. This way, the visit is about the connection, and not about dealing with the overwhelming environment inside the house. It can be tough to watch someone you care about deal with hoarding. It's not easy to confront, and it can feel like a personal issue that's hard to address. But setting those boundaries for yourself is important. Hoarding can be exhausting, and it's okay to recognize when it's taking a toll on your own well-being. In the end, it's all about balance. You don't have to abandon the people you care about, but you also need to take care of yourself. If you find yourself in a situation where a visit to a hoarder's home can't be avoided, try to create an environment for yourself that feels safe and calming. And remember, it's okay to say no if things start feeling too overwhelming. Your health and mental well-being matter just as much as the relationships you have. Number 3. The overly busy person. We all have busy lives, but sometimes, when you're trying to spend time with loved ones, constant distractions can make you feel like you're not really there. Let me share the story of Linda and her daughter Gerald. Linda is in her 70s and looks forward to visiting her daughter Gerald whenever she can. It's one of the few opportunities she gets to connect with family, and she's excited each time. But here's the thing. Every time Linda arrives at Gerald's house, Gerald is either on the phone, checking emails, or running out to do errands. Even when Linda sits down with her, Gerald's attention isn't really there. She's distracted, preoccupied with the next thing on her to-do list. Linda leaves every visit feeling like she's not a priority, like she's just another task to be checked off. This situation is unfortunately more common than we might realize. Many people today juggle so many things that even family time gets squeezed out. But for older adults like Linda, these moments aren't just about catching up. They're about feeling seen, heard, and valued. When these visits are constantly interrupted or rushed, it's easy for someone to feel isolated and undervalued. The connection that should come from spending quality time with a loved one simply isn't there, and that can take a toll on emotional well-being. The psychological impact of this can be pretty significant. If every visit feels like it's not truly happening, if you're competing with a phone, an email, or a pile of errands, it can leave you feeling neglected or even frustrated. For older adults, these feelings might be even stronger, especially if they're already dealing with loneliness or isolation. They may start to feel like they're an afterthought or that their presence doesn't really matter. Over time, this can build up, leading to resentment or sadness. If you've ever felt like this during a visit with a loved one, it's important to remember that your feelings are valid. You deserve to have those moments of connection, where both you and the person you're spending time with can truly focus on each other. So what can you do about it? The key is communication. If you're in a situation like Linda's, it's a good idea to have an honest conversation with your family members or friends about how you're feeling. Let them know that you'd appreciate quality time together without distractions. It's important to be clear about what you need. Maybe you could ask them to set aside certain times where phones and emails can be put away, so the focus can be on the visit itself. It might sound simple, but creating these boundaries can make a world of difference. You can even suggest specific, no distraction visiting times, where everyone agrees to be present and engaged. That way, there's a mutual understanding that these moments are about connection, not just passing time. Setting these expectations doesn't just help you, it also gives the other person a chance to understand your needs better. They may not even realize how distracted they've been or how it's affecting you. Opening up about what would make your visits more meaningful can lead to more fulfilling and enjoyable interactions. At the end of the day, we all want to feel valued. Quality time doesn't have to be long, but it does need to be intentional. A little bit of undivided attention can go a long way in strengthening your relationships and making both you and your loved ones feel more connected. So, if you're someone who often feels like a second priority during visits, don't be afraid to speak up. Your time and presence matter. And if you're on the other side of the equation, remember that a few moments without distractions can make all the difference in how someone feels. It's not about the amount of time spent, but about the quality of that time. Number 4. The pessimist. Have you ever had someone in your life who always focuses on the worst possible outcome? Maybe they love pointing out every potential danger or failure before you even get started on a new idea. It can be draining, right? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. How to protect yourself from the negative energy that can come from constant pessimism. Let's take Tom and Cynthia as an example. Tom is a retiree, and he's full of excitement about his life. He's always planning his next adventure, whether it's traveling to a new country or picking up a new hobby. His days are filled with enthusiasm for trying new things, living life to the fullest, and making the most of this new chapter. Then there's Cynthia. Tom's been friends with her for years, but there's something about her that starts to weigh on him. Every time Tom shares his latest ideas with her, Cynthia is quick to point out all the risks involved. What if something goes wrong? She asks. What if you're not prepared? Her responses are filled with doubts and fears about his plans. You might end up wasting money, she warns. Or you could get hurt. At first, Tom brushes it off, but over time, Cynthia's constant focus on the negatives starts to make him question himself. It's not that Cynthia means to discourage him, but her pessimism is contagious. Have you ever noticed how someone's mood can rub off on you? That's what we call emotional contagion, when emotions spread from one person to another, whether they're positive or negative. Pessimism is no different. When you're constantly exposed to it, it can slowly start to affect your own mindset. You might start doubting your own plans, second-guessing your abilities, and feeling more hesitant to take risks. The more Tom spends time with Cynthia, the more he begins to lose his excitement. What once seemed like a thrilling new adventure now feels like a huge mountain to climb, filled with obstacles. Tom's motivation starts to fade, and the joy he once felt about his future is replaced with anxiety and self-doubt. It's not just that Cynthia's advice is practical. It's the way her negative outlook is slowly seeping into Tom's way of thinking. This is the power of emotional contagion in action. Studies show that spending time with people who are consistently negative can lead to lower self-esteem and even depression over time. It's not just about feeling bad in the moment. Chronic exposure to negativity can change the way we view ourselves and the world. It can leave us feeling like our dreams are too big, too risky, or simply unattainable. So, how do we protect ourselves from this kind of negativity? First, it's important to recognize that you have control over your environment. If someone in your life, like Cynthia, is consistently discouraging, it might be time to set some boundaries. You don't need to cut them out completely, but you can limit the amount of time you spend around them, especially when you're feeling vulnerable or unsure about your plans. It's also essential to surround yourself with people who support your dreams. Positive, Uplifting people who cheer you on can help you stay focused on what's possible, not just what could go wrong. These are the people who will celebrate your wins and encourage you to keep moving forward, even when the road ahead seems uncertain. But here's the thing, you can't control everything. Sometimes, negative thoughts will pop into your head. It's natural. The key is not letting those thoughts take over. Instead of focusing on the risks, try practicing resilience. Acknowledge that yes, things could go wrong, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. You can be aware of the challenges, but that doesn't mean they should stop you from pursuing your dreams. The truth is, life is filled with uncertainties, but it's also full of incredible opportunities. If you allow pessimism to take root, it can rob you of the chance to discover those opportunities. So protect your energy and your aspirations. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, and don't let the fears of others derail your journey. Remember, your dreams are worth pursuing, and you deserve to have the confidence and motivation to make them happen. Keep pushing forward, no matter how many risks or doubts you might face along the way. Do you know someone like this? A chronic complainer, a hoarder, someone always too busy, or a constant pessimist? Let us know in the comments below and share how you've managed these types of relationships. We'd love to hear your experiences and tips for handling these tricky situations. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button, share it with friends or family who could use some practical advice, and don't forget to subscribe for more tips on living your best life in your later years. We're all about helping you make the most of your time, so you won't want to miss what's coming up next. Now, let's quickly recap the 4 types of people you might want to avoid visiting. First, we have the chronic complainer. You know, the person who seems to always focus on the negatives in life. Next, there's the hoarder. While they might not mean harm, their clutter can make your visits feel heavy and draining. Then there's the person who's always too busy. They may have good intentions, but they rarely have the time or energy for meaningful connection. And lastly, we have the pessimist. Their constant negativity can be exhausting and may even affect your own outlook on life. As we age, it's essential to focus on the people and activities that lift us up. Aging isn't just about the number of years we have, it's about how we spend those years. It's about embracing joy, positivity, and things that truly contribute to our well-being. So be selective with your time and energy. Choose wisely who you allow into your life, and make room for those who bring positivity and happiness. At the end of the day, it's not about how much time you have, it's about how you spend that time. Surround yourself with people who support and uplift you. And remember, it's never too late to start making these changes today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more advice on living your best life at any age, and share this with someone who might need it.